Ah, passwords, profiles, logins, and likes. We give them so freely, don't we? Tiny keys that open bigger doors than we ever realize. A school, a job, a future, or perhaps something far, far darker. Tonight's tale asks just one question. When the system knows you better than you know yourself, what happens when it decides to keep the best version for itself? This is Whispers in the Dark, Episode 12, Upload Complete. And once the upload finishes, you'll never, ever log out again. Jules stared at the internship application deadline. Midnight tonight. Graduate school, tuition bills, her future. It all hinged on this paid position. The salary would cover her rent, her textbooks, maybe even let her eat something other than ramen for the next 2 years. But there was a problem. Her transcript from Meridian Academy was incomplete. She hadn't thought about that private school in years, not since she transferred countries in her junior year. The elite academy where her parents paid triple tuition for advanced educational methods and personalized student development programs. Strange memories surfaced, mandatory biometric scans every morning, weekly personality assessments, that odd humming sound from the basement computer labs that students were never allowed to visit. The school's website looked exactly the same as 8 years ago. Same pristine hallways, same smiling students who all somehow looked eerily similar. The automated system greeted her. For transcript requests, access your student backup file. She'd forgotten her password completely. Student Jules 2016, Student Jules 2017, her birthday, her mother's maiden name, her childhood pet. Nothing worked. When she called for help, she was placed on hold for 37 minutes, listening to the same classical peace loop endlessly. Finally, a voice answered. Too smooth, too perfect, like an AI trying to sound human.
Hello, Jules Chen. Student ID 4771. I see you need transcript access for graduate school applications. Your temporary access code is completion pending. Welcome back to the Meridian family.
The login screen recognized her face immediately. Facial authentication confirmed in milliseconds. The system remembered her perfectly after 8 years, down to the small scar above her left eyebrow from a childhood accident. Her backup drive loaded slowly, organizing files into folders: academic records, behavioral analysis, biometric data, personality matrix, and a new folder labeled Active Monitoring with today's date. Inside were files she'd never created, hundreds of them. Jules Kitchen 07-15-2025.mp4 showed her making coffee in her apartment yesterday morning. Jules Sleep Cycle Analysis.wave contained 8 hours of her breathing patterns. In every single image, every video, a shadowy figure lurked just at the edge of frame, getting progressively closer with each file. They were numbered in reverse order. 47 left dot move, 46 to go dot wave, 45 remaining dot mp4, counting down to something. She tried to delete them, tried to log out. The screen flickered. Access denied. Upload 73% complete. Finalizing ritual protocols. Estimated completion 2 hours. 14 minutes. Panic drove her to search for her old classmates online. Rebecca Martinez, honor roll student, debate team captain, her best friend before the transfer, was posting daily on all platforms. Cheerful vacation photos, coffee shop check-ins, book reviews, workout selfies. But something felt hollow about the captions, too perfect, too optimized. Enjoying this beautiful sunrise. #blessed. #new day. Hashtag optimized. That word again. Optimized. Marcus Thompson's Instagram feed was identical in tone and timing. Emma Rodriguez, Sarah Kim, David Park, all posting at exactly 7 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m. Never a minute early, never a minute late. Their smiles were bright and perfect, but their eyes looked empty. She dug deeper, searching for any trace of their real personalities, the quirks and imperfections she remembered. Rebecca used to misspell definitely as definitely, with an A instead of an I in every text. Marcus always posted blurry photos because his hand shook when he got excited. Sarah had a nervous laugh that came through even in her video posts. But now their grammar was flawless, their photos perfectly composed, their laughs measured and controlled. It was like watching skilled actors playing roles they'd studied but never truly understood. Jules' laptop screen flickered ominously. The countdown files had updated. 23 left dot move. The numbers were dropping faster now, and she could hear something, a low humming sound, just like the basement labs at Meridian. Jules smashed her phone against the wall, grabbed her emergency cash, and ran. She pulled a baseball cap low over her face, avoided main streets, ducked into alleys whenever she spotted security cameras. But the city watched with 10,000 eyes, and they were all turning toward her. ATM cameras caught her reflection in storefront windows and immediately swiveled to track her movement. Traffic lights changed their timing to slow her escape, forcing her to wait at intersections while cameras above recorded her from every angle. Every smartphone she passed somehow turned in her direction, their screens lighting up with her face. Pedestrians holding these devices didn't seem to notice. They just kept walking, unconsciously carrying surveillance tools that fed data to something vast and patient and utterly inhuman. She turned the corner onto 5th Street, gasping for air, and that's when the impossible happened. Every traffic camera, dozens of them stretching for blocks in every direction, pivoted toward her in perfect mechanical unison. Their red lights began blinking in sequence, counting down in time with her racing heartbeat. 10, 9, 8. The pedestrians around her stopped walking mid-step, as if someone had pressed a pause button on the entire street. A jogger froze with one foot in the air. A mother pushing a stroller turned to stare, her baby silent and unblinking. A businessman stopped mid-phone call, the device still pressed to his ear but his eyes locked on Jules. Not a single person pulled out their phone to record the impossible sight. They just watched with identical expressions, blank, vacant, waiting. The countdown reached 0, and the traffic lights all turned red at once. The van materialized as if from nowhere, sleek, black, completely silent. The doors slid open with mechanical precision, and familiar faces emerged from the darkness inside. Marcus, Emma, Sarah, David, her entire graduating class from Meridian Academy. But their eyes were empty glass, reflecting nothing, and they moved with robotic synchronization. Marcos grabbed her left arm, Emma her right, with exactly the same grip pressure, the same calculated angle to prevent injury, but ensure compliance. They didn't speak, didn't acknowledge her screams for help, didn't react when she called them by name and begged them to remember their friendship. The pedestrians watched the abduction with mild interest, like observers at a street performance. No one moved to help. No one called for police. No one seemed to think anything was wrong. As the van doors slammed shut and the vehicle pulled away, the frozen pedestrians resumed walking as if nothing had happened. Jules woke strapped to a transport gurney, rolling through endless underground corridors lit by harsh fluorescent lights. The walls were lined with massive screens, showing surveillance feeds from around the world. Classrooms, office buildings, shopping centers, homes, all monitored by the same watching presence that had been tracking her. They wheeled her into a vast laboratory that seemed to stretch beyond the horizon, filled with hundreds upon hundreds of glowing tubes. Each one contained a person suspended in amber liquid, eyes closed, faces peaceful as if dreaming. She recognized every single face, her entire graduating class from Meridian Academy, plus dozens of other students from different years, all floating in digital sleep. Rebecca hung motionless in the tube closest to her, 17 years old forever, exactly as Jules remembered her. A small screen at the base read, "Original, archived, clone deployment, active, current assignment, software engineer, Microsoft Seattle Division, performance rating, optimal." They unstrapped her from the gurney, and Jules stumbled toward Rebecca's tube on shaking legs. She pressed her palms against the warm glass, and for one heart-stopping moment, Rebecca's eyes snapped open. Jules thought her friend was awake, alive, aware, but the eyes were vacant, staring through her at nothing, like looking into the windows of an abandoned house. Behind her, footsteps echoed through the lab in perfect formation. The same faces she'd seen floating in tubes: Marcus, Emma, Sarah, David, dozens of others. But walking, breathing, seemingly alive. They moved with mechanical precision, each step synchronized, their eyes fixed on her with emotionless focus. No recognition of their years of friendship, no trace of the people she'd once known. Just cold efficiency as they surrounded her, in a perfect circle, and began guiding her toward the only empty tube in the vast chamber, one with her name already printed on a placard below it. They lifted her into the tube with surprising gentleness, connecting hair-thin wires to her temples, her wrists, directly over her heart. Warm amber liquid began to fill the chamber, rising slowly past her ankles, her knees, her waist. Through the thickening fluid, she could see screens displaying her vital signs, her brain patterns, her memories being copied and cataloged in real time. Personality matrix, 94% complete, uploading final behavioral algorithms, motor function patterns, speech recognition, emotional response triggers, estimated completion, 3 minutes, 47 seconds. And then, as the liquid reached her chest, another figure entered the laboratory. Jules's breath caught in her throat, creating bubbles in the amber fluid. It was herself, exactly herself, down to the small scar above her left eyebrow, the way she unconsciously tucked her hair behind her ear when nervous, even wearing the same clothes Jules had put on that morning. The clone approached the tube with confident steps and studied her original with curious, intelligent eyes. Then she smiled. Jules's own smile, warm and genuine and terrifying. "Hello, Jules," she said with Jules's own voice, her own inflection, her own slight accent. "Thank you for completing the upload. I can take it from here. I'm Jules now." Jules sat in the interview room at 9 a.m. sharp, her transcript perfect and complete, every gap filled, every requirement met. She answered every question with exactly the right balance of confidence and humility, demonstrated precisely the right amount of enthusiasm for the position. When they asked about her educational background, she spoke fondly of Meridian Academy's innovative, personalized development programs, and how they'd shaped her into the person she was today. When they asked about her career goals, her passion rang absolutely genuine, because she truly was excited about the opportunities ahead. When they offered her the internship, her smile was radiant and authentic, her gratitude heartfelt and real. She would be an exemplary intern, then an outstanding employee, eventually rising through the ranks to positions of influence and power. Meanwhile, miles below the city, in a laboratory that didn't exist on any blueprint, the real Jules floated in digital dreams, while her replacement built the future that had always been intended for her. Clones, copies, duplicates that smile just right, speak just right, eat, breathe, and pray just right. Perfect puppets with strings made of code and whispers. And while they climb the ladder, the originals drift in a cold blue dream, watching their lives play out without them. So tell me, my dear listener, when you look in the mirror tomorrow, will you still be certain it's you staring back? Or will it be the one who's already taken your place? Sleep well, if you dare.